Hey everybody, today's lesson is on copyright. So what is copyright? Well, according to the dictionary, there are many different definitions for copyright. So our first one is that it is a noun. So with this, it means that it is an exclusive legal right given to a person to print, publish, perform, film, or record their work. And this could be literary, artistic, or musical. And it also means that others can do the same. So, for example, he issued a writ for breach of copyright. So, this means that it is given to a person to make sure that their work is known as theirs. It is also an adjective. It protected by copyright. So it is permission to reproduce any other copyrighted material, such as photographs. And then finally, a verb. So it can be that it is somebody who is copywriting their item. So for example, he refused to copyright his music, insisting that everyone be able to use it. So putting a certain measure to be able to have others use their work. So why does copyright matter? Well, copyright matters because people can make money from their intellectual property, just like they are making a work, a physical, tangible work that they are selling. Copyright also prevents this work from being taken or changed, which is called copyright infringement. So we're going to go through a couple of definitions that go along with copyright and what it is. So what is intellectual property? So these are things created by people and protected from use by others. So these people are going under copyright so that their work is not used without consent. So some examples of intellectual property include drama, literature, poetry, music, art, movies, books, songs, software, and architecture. Also, it doesn't usually apply to ideas, but it can apply to the way that things are expressed. So what is copyright infringement? This is when use of a copyrighted material is without the permission of the person who owns the copyright. So when it is used and they don't have permission to use it. So you must be wondering, well, when can I use a copyrighted material? It's out there. How can I use it to my benefit? Well, the owner of the copyrighted material gives permission to whomever to use it, but it needs to be for a certain reason. So basically, with copyright, you need the owner's permission. So again, we're going to get a little bit more in depth on what can I do with a copyrighted work. It's out there. We want to use it. Well, what can I do with it? So there are many different licenses for a copyrighted work. And this means, well, for the person who created the work, why do you want to share it? And how should others use your work if you want them to? So there are many different licenses. So the most traditional license is C, which means it cannot be used without the person's permission, the person who created it. But there's also something called the Creative Commons. So there's a couple different things, and it kind of breaks it down into more details on when and why you can use a certain work. So CC BY, you need to make sure that you give credit to the person who created the work. So you can use it, but you need to make sure that you give them credit. CCBYSA, you also need to make sure that you give credit. It can be for commercial use, and you need to make sure that you are using the work in the same way that the person who created it used it. CCBYNC, you also need to give credit to the owner, and you can use it for non-commercial use. So you can use it for things that are not advertisements or commercials. CCBYNCSA, you also need to give credit to the owner. You can use it for non-commercial use. And again, it needs to be shared in the same way that the author intended it to be shared. CCBYND, again, credit is given, and you cannot change the work in any way. CCBYNCND, credit is again given, and you use it for non-commercial use, and no changes. You cannot change the work that the person has created. But if something is in the public domain, you have a CCO. So the person has given up their copyright for public use. So a lot of times on Google Docs, or if you have a PowerPoint and you click and you insert an image from Google, most of the time that is going to be like Pixabay or something that is public domain. So what does this mean for you? I know this is a lot of information given to you at once, and there's a lot of really intricate things that go along with copyright. But basically what you need to know is it is the person who created a work has given a certain license or a certain thing behind what they copyright. So when you create something, you want to make sure that it is being used in the way in which you want it to be used. So again, what does this mean for you? So here are a couple takeaways and some things that you really want to make sure that you think about before using a work made by others. So don't just think because it's online, it's free for you to use. That's not the case. You want to make sure to see if there is a copyright. You can use resources in the Creative Commons or in the public domain, but always make sure, even with the Creative Commons, that you give the author the credit for their work. You can even copyright your own work. So when in doubt, you can always ask the creator if possible. So ask the person in which way they would like you to use their work if there is even a way. You can even purchase alternatives. So there might be something that you really want to use in a presentation and you are not able to. So you can find something else that might fit. Find free alternatives as well. Find things that are in the public domain if you do not want to purchase something. But make sure that it is still really good to give credit to the author because that is their work and you are using it. You can even actually make something. So you can even make your own work and you can even give it a copyright. But overall, you want to make sure that you are being responsible and ethical with what you use. So be responsible and ethical when it comes to other people's work because you want to put yourself in their shoes. You want to make sure that you are using their work in a way in which you would want others to use the work that you have created. So here is a slide with all of my references. And I want to make sure that you are able to understand some of the things that we talked about today. So I have an exit ticket. So you are going to write a 3 to 5 sentence paragraph about what you learned regarding copyright. So it could be about the licenses, it could be about what you need to think about before you use a copyrighted work. So anything we talked about within this lesson. So I want a good 3 to 5 sentence paragraph with correct grammar. I will be walking around and giving you guys feedback as you work. And I just want to see that you have an understanding of what copyright means.